In late 1944, something strange began falling from the sky over North America. In forests, fields, and farmlands across the western United States and Canada, mysterious objects were discovered. Some exploded on contact. Others dangled from trees like ghostly kites. Locals who stumbled upon them were baffled. The U.S. military knew what they were, but the public didn't, because the government kept it secret. These strange devices were weapons, launched from Japan, designed to float across the Pacific Ocean and land on American soil. They were called Fugo balloon bombs, and they were part of one of World War II's most bizarre and ambitious military campaigns. By the end of 1944, Japan was on the defensive. American bombers were striking deeper into the Japanese homeland, and the tide of the war had turned, but Japan still wanted to strike back. Literally to bring the war to American territory. They lacked the long-range bombers to fly across the ocean, and a naval attack was out of the question. So Japanese scientists and military planners turned to the skies. They had discovered something in the upper atmosphere, the jet stream, a powerful air current that flows from East Asia to North America at altitudes of around 30,000 feet. If they could get something into that stream, it might ride the wind all the way to the United States. And so they built Fugo, large, hydrogen-filled balloons made of lightweight paper, about 10 meters wide, equipped with a small payload of bombs, incendiary and high explosive, and a clever ballast system. The balloons carried sandbags that could be dropped to control altitude. When a balloon dropped too low, a barometer would trigger a release of sand. If it rose too high, gas would be vented. This allowed the balloon to stay airborne for up to 3 days. Enough time to make the trans-Pacific journey. Once over land, the balloon would release its bombs, then self-destruct. Between November 1944 and April 1945, Japan launched over 9,000 of these balloon bombs. About 300 are known to have reached North America. They were found across the western United States, California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, even as far east as Michigan and as far south as Texas and Mexico. One landed in Alaska. Another turned up in Manitoba, Canada. Most didn't cause any damage. Many crashed harmlessly in remote areas, but some did explode. A few started small fires, and one had tragic consequences. On May 5, 1945, a group of schoolchildren and their Sunday school teacher, Elsie Mitchell, were on a picnic near Bly, Oregon. They came across what looked like a strange balloon in the woods. As they approached it, the bomb detonated. All 6 were killed instantly. They remain the only known civilian casualties on the U.S. mainland caused by enemy action during World War II. By this time, the U.S. military had already discovered the balloon bombs and was tracking them. Recovery teams were sent to retrieve the debris. Scientists analyzed the sand used in the ballast bags and were able to trace it to specific beaches in Japan. Military intelligence quickly realized that the balloons were not only capable of starting forest fires, but potentially of delivering biological weapons. But rather than warn the public, the U.S. government issued a total media blackout. Newspapers, radio broadcasters, and local officials were told not to report any balloon incidents. The reason was simple: the Japanese were monitoring American news. If they saw stories of successful balloon landings, they'd keep launching them. If they saw nothing, they might assume the campaign had failed, and that's exactly what happened. By spring 1945, with no feedback or evidence of success, Japan shut the program down. They had spent months building and launching thousands of balloons, only to be met with eerie silence. What they didn't know is that their weapons had indeed made it across the ocean. But the world simply chose not to react. In the decades since, many of the balloons have been recovered, some even found intact in remote areas. The most recent live balloon bomb was discovered in British Columbia in 2014. Nearly 70 years after it was launched, it was safely detonated by Canadian authorities. Today, the Fugo campaign is largely forgotten, dismissed as a failure or a curiosity. But in truth, it was an astonishing feat of engineering. These were the world's first intercontinental weapons, precursors to the ballistic missiles of the Cold War. Launched from a collapsing empire using paper and hydrogen, they drifted across the largest ocean on Earth's island, slow and deadly. And they're a reminder that even in a war dominated by tanks, ships, and bombers, sometimes danger arrives not with a roar, but with the wind.